Hello everyone, it's Allison dropping in with the Everyday Scrapbooker, and I have another Christmas card that I wanted to share with you today. This card is very simple in nature. It's just some repetitious stamping and a bunch of coloring. It's so simple, even the newest card maker could make a card like this as well. In fact, my kids and I had a Mom and Me craft sesh last week, I think it was. We didn't make a card like this, but we made something similar. And they're young, they're only 9 years old, but this was a perfect card for them to do to introduce them to this hobby. I was gonna say sport. Card making could be a sport, I guess, in a way, but this was the perfect way to introduce them to my favorite hobby in the entire universe, and that's card making and scrapbooking. So as you can see, I've got my pine boughs all stamped out and I'm starting to color the pine needles in. I'm using the dull green Spectrum Noir TriBlend alcohol marker. And once I've got the pine needles done, I'll go back using the earth brown, that's the other pen that you see there, and I'll fill in the pine cones. I'm going to fill in the pine cones using all three colors from that one pen. That's why it's called the TriBlend marker. I'll start with the lightest and then add some shadowing with the two darker colors in the marker. For the pine needles, I'm just keeping it the darkest shade of the dull green because I think it's most similar to actual pine boughs and pine needles. It's important to remember when you are using alcohol markers to color in an image or using other mixed media, like maybe watercolors, to use an ink that won't run or bleed when you add that mixed media to it. I used Close to My Heart's Intense Black ink because that's what it was designed for. The Mom and Me craft sesh that I mentioned just a second ago is something new that my kids and I are trying together. I really feel that teaching the next generation to love scrapbooking and memory keeping is really, really important. And I'm so excited that my kids are interested in this hobby and hopefully will continue on with it and they'll love it as much as I do. You will find our artwork posted to my Facebook page. I'll include the link down in this description at the end of this video. So you can pop over and check it out if that sounds interesting to you. We're hoping to make this a regular thing. So if you do pop over to my Facebook, make sure you give it a like so that you can stay tuned and see more artwork from myself and my girls. My girls are still young. They're only 9 years old. And I thought that starting with card making was probably the best place to start. They have asked if we could do scrapbooks, so it's something that I'm thinking of, but I'm not entirely sure yet how that's going to pan out, so we will see. Stay tuned. I'll also make sure to include the links for the products that I used in this video as well. I should note here that the stamp set that I used is December's stamp of the month from Close to My Heart. It's called Reindeer Crossing, and unfortunately it's not available for purchase just yet. You're going to have to wait until December 1st before you can purchase that. I have it because I'm a Close to My Heart consultant, and one of the perks of being a consultant is having the ability to order products before everybody else gets it. That's kind of nice. I stamped my pine boughs on just simple white daisy cardstock. It's also from Close to My Heart. But once I've got all the coloring done, I will mat it on another piece of cardstock. I think I mat it on New England Ivy. It's a really dark, really pretty color, and I thought it would work well with this particular card. I also decided that I wanted to pair heat embossing with the coloring in the background. So I'm going to heat emboss the Christmassy sentiment that's going to be going on this card. I'll use gold embossing powder and then I'm going to mat it on another piece of cardstock as well. There's my pesky head again. I'm so sorry about it peeking in and obstructing your view, and I hope that it's not too distracting. You can see that I have pulled out some espresso cardstock. That's likely what I'm going to be matting my sentiment on. Originally, what I was going to do was stamp it directly on the espresso cardstock, but then I realized that the gold probably wouldn't show up very well on it. So scratched that idea and pulled out some just scrap white daisy cardstock and stamped it on that. I'm really bad at remembering to prime my paper with the anti-static pouch too before I heat emboss. This time I actually remembered, but more often than not, I always forget. It is really important to remember when you heat emboss, only because the powder only sticks to where you want it instead of sticking all over the paper, and then you have those ugly little dots and flecks all over the place. So if you're like me, do your best to remember. If you do, great. If you don't, you did the best you could. I trimmed down the white daisy cardstock and then also trimmed out another piece of the espresso cardstock and matted my Christmas sentiment on that. I'm going to add it to the card base with some foam squares just to kind of separate it a little bit from the background paper and help it stand out a little bit more. That's it. The card is done. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the process video that I shared with you. If you're new to card making, this is really a great place for you to start, and I encourage you to try it out. I'll make sure to add some still shots at the end of this video so you can see this card without my pesky head getting in the way. Thanks for joining me. I will see you again soon.